I'm Pierre. I'm the main writer of this game, Bury My Love. You might not have heard of it, so I have a short trailer to show you, to give you an idea of the game, and then I will explain everything. So, Bury My Love is a mobile game for Android and iOS. It's €3, €4 on this platform, and it will be released on PC soon. I don't know when. It's a game produced by the Pixel Hunt, Figs, and Arte. The title might sound a bit grim, Bury Me My Love, but it's not actually as grim as it sounds. Bury Me My Love is a translation of a Syrian saying, meaning something like, I love you so much, I couldn't stand to see you die. I love you so much, I want to die before you. It's a love saying, something you say to your loved one, your habibis. And Bury My Love is actually a love story. It's a story of Noor, a Syrian woman, who decides to flee Syria to find asylum in Europe, in Germany maybe. And the story of her husband, Majd, who stays in Syria to take care of his parents. So why make such a game? There are actually 3 reasons behind it, 3 main ideas. The first one is this article on the news site, French news site Le Monde. It's called the travel of a Syrian migrant through her WhatsApp feed, and it's actually the translation of the WhatsApp feed of a Syrian woman who fled Syria. And when we read this piece, we were really moved because when media deals with the subject of migrants, sorry, my English isn't very good, I'll do my best. It's usually about numbers, about flus, I don't know, but yeah, it's not about the actual humans. And this piece was about human. It wasn't about migrants, it was about this migrant, her story, their story, they are true actually. And it was something, really moving, and we thought maybe if we add interactivity to it, we can make it even stronger. The second idea is that video game is, to us, it's a medium, like every other mediums. But while we are used to see literature, movies or comics dealing with difficult subject, it's not very common in video games. And we thought, why? Why couldn't we deal with difficult subject with video games? It's just a medium. So we wanted to do that, to try that. And the third and last idea is that we wanted to make a game for everyone, not a game for the regular video game gamers, players, but for anyone, for my mother, for anyone who who already sent a text, anyone who already used WhatsApp, know how to play Bury My Love. So yeah, we mixed those three ideas, and that's how the game came to be. So what is the game about exactly? I told you the game about Noor and Majd, how Noor flees Syria and Majd stay in Syria, and they keep in touch using their smartphone. Because that's actually what happens to migrants. The smartphone is the most useful tool when you're fleeing a country to go to another country, because that's how you find informations, keep in touch with your relatives in your country, the relative that might already be in the country you're going to. So yeah, that's why we used this idea. And yeah, they will keep in touch with this app, WhatsApp-like app. And as a player, you play as Majd. So Noor will tell you what happens to her. She tells you about her travels, her problems, and you as Majd, you will try to help her, to comfort her. So yeah, sometimes she'll send selfies, and she will tell you what happens to her, and you can sometimes pick a reply, sometimes send emojis, sometimes you can send selfies. But this is not your regular interactive fiction, because you don't actually choose what happened in the story. You don't tell Noor to do this or do that. Noor is an actual person. She takes her own decisions, and everything you do is actually trying to help her. And you, by picking this answer instead of this one, you actually change some variables, like the trust she has in you, her moral. Also, there is a third variable, which is the money she still have. And those variables are the ones who will, Noor will take her decisions based on those variables, actually, not based on what you tell her to do. Sometimes she doesn't listen to you, if she don't trust you anymore, things like that. So yeah, this is a real person. It's supposed to sound like a real person, it's not. So yeah, but it's not linear. There are a lot of places, things that can happen, places you can visit. So yeah, this is just a sample of what the arborescence looks like. So as you can see, there are a lot of different paths you can take. But yeah, the most important idea in Bury My Love is probably this, the waiting. Because Bury My Love is designed to feel like real time. And yeah, sometimes Noor will, I don't know, take a train, and she will tell you, oh, I'm in the train, I don't have much battery, I just turn off my phone, see you later. And you actually have to wait for her to reach her destination to give you news. So sometimes you won't have any news from Noor for days, and you will start really worrying about her. That's what we try to do anyway. And yeah, and then you get a notification, just like if a friend sends you a text message. So we try to create a bond between the player and Noor this way. It's like a real person you're talking with on the phone, by WhatsApp, with WhatsApp. So yeah, I'm the main writer of Bury My Love, so that's what I'm going to talk about from now. How did we write this? Yeah, because this is the whole text in Bury My Love. It's more than 100,000 words. So yeah, to give you an idea, it's like those novels. But of course, when you play the game, you don't get to read all this. You only see a tiny fraction of it. Okay, this slide is messed up. But yeah, there are a lot of places Noor can visit, around 40, I think, and even in those places, a lot of different things can happen. And yeah, the colors. Yeah, we were two writers on this game. Florent Morin and I. Florent Morin wrote the purple parts. I wrote the orange parts. So yeah, I wrote most of it. And we've got 19 different endings. Very different endings. Some good ones, some bad ones, some terrible ones, which are death, because that's something that happens. Unfortunately, we wanted to deal with this too, but most of the time it's in between, because we are talking about Syrian refugees going to Europe. Even in the best case scenario, the story isn't over. It's never there is no real good ending. It's too soon to have a good ending. So yeah, it's always a bit bittersweet, or just bitter. So yeah, to write this, there are two main phases: documentation and the actual writing. Flo and I are both ex-journalists, so we knew a bit about documentation. We worked with direct sources. We worked with Dana, which is who is a Syrian refugee now living in Germany. She was our main advisor for the game. She told us her story. She read our dialogues, telling us when something felt wrong. For example, when we wrote, I wrote the part where Noor is in a hotel with smugglers in Izmir, Turkey. I wrote it like an okay thing, like the worst is still to come, the worst is the crossing, not the hotel with the smuggler. But yeah, Dana told us, no, that was the worst part of my travel was this, being in a hotel with smugglers I don't know, and I don't know what will happen to me. I don't even know if I will cross. That felt terrible. So yeah, we rewrote this. Other actual sources are, yeah, in France there is. At the French-Italian border, there is a place called La Roya, where some people help migrants to cross the border. I happen to know a few people there, so I had sources there too. Journalists. This is Lucie Soulier. She's the journalist who wrote the article I told you about earlier. The story of a Syrian refugee through our WhatsApp feed. So we worked closely with her, but also with other journalists and pieces we found online, on the internet. And that implies a lot of things, like checking the sources, because you can't trust anything you see on the internet, obviously. For example, you might not want to trust those sources because there might be biased, I don't know. It means paying for your information, because well, someone have to pay for the information, and if you're not the one paying for it, someone else is paying for it, and you gotta ask why. And it's important, especially when you're looking for specific information. For example, yeah, I used this website, Le Courrier des Balkans. It's a website in French telling news about the Balkans country. So that's quite specific, because I don't read Greek or Serbian. So yeah, if I want to have precise news on the Balkans country written in French, well, I have to pay for this information. It's way too specific to be free. And also, you have to avoid the echo chamber. When you're looking for documentation, you don't want what you already think or know being thrown back at you. You want to learn new things. That's why you have to avoid Google, for example, because that's precisely what Google does. Google throw back at you what you already think. So you might want to use other search engine like DuckDuckGo. And at last, you have to have some insight. Because even when you read trustworthy articles, you might get the wrong ideas. I have got an example for you. This is when I was documenting about Zaatari refugees camp. It's a huge refugees camp in Jordan. one of the biggest in the world. And here is what you can read about Zatari on the internet. So yeah, refugee camp for Syrian, no, a city. No, it's a city now. Great. They get a full-size football pitch. Neat. Entrepreneur thrives in Zatari refugees camp. It sounds like a great place. Now, wedding and beauty shops, a smart school. There isn't even a smart school in my city, and there is a smart school in Zatari refugees camp. That's great. And oh, they got great restaurants too. Vice tells us they got great restaurants. So when you read this, you might get the idea that Zatari is actually a great place, or a not so bad place, and that's how I wrote it initially. But you have to take a few steps back and have insight, because Zatari is actually a refugees camp, and you need to remember that. It's a place where refugees are locked down. You can't get out of it's a prison. Maybe not the worst prison, but it's still a prison. And yeah, and all the articles we saw before were trustworthy. They weren't fake news, but it's just saying, oh, life is still shitty in Zatari isn't news. Beauty shop is news. So yeah, you have to have insight too. Yeah, this is Zatari. So I had to rewrite all the Zatari part. Also, other sources. I tried to focusing on news actuality is great, but if you want to make the story feels real, it's interesting to have other sources, cultural sources maybe. I really love that book. This is a book, a non-poetry anthology. Love poetry, Arab love poetry anthology, which is great, and I used it. This is Tales from Syria. I used it too in the story. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, a lot of documentation. But now we did the documentation. We still need to make the story feels real, because even if you're talking about real events, the story might not feel real. So how do you do it? Once again, direct sources. We spent a lot of time asking questions to Dana. Yeah, also, I didn't tell you earlier, but Dana had no computer, so we worked with Dana exclusively on WhatsApp, which, well, what's mise en abîme, it was quite meta. And yeah, if you want to know when did Hungary closed its border, you can check on the internet, you'll have the answer. But if you want to know how to say shut up in Syrian, or how do you call Bashar al-Assad when you're talking with your friends on WhatsApp, or do you know, I don't know the name of this show in English, Will E. Coyote in Syria? Well, it's really helpful to have someone you can ask to. Yeah, for your information, shut up is something like eat air in Syrian. You don't say the name of Bashar al-Assad when you're talking to your friend, because the conversations are monitored. So if you don't like him, you can say something like al-Kaha, I don't know how to pronounce it, that means shit. And yes, this show was on Syrian TV. Also, it's important to cherish the useless, the little things. So this is, yeah, I will read it. This is a sentence found in A Simple Heart by Flaubert. So an old piano standing beneath a barometer was covered with a pyramid of old books and boxes. So there is a French critic, I don't know, Roland Barthes, who studied this sentence, and he said, yeah, what does this sentence tell us about the people living in this house? Well, the old piano, it tells us maybe they are wealthy, maybe they like music. The pyramid of old books and boxes, well, they have a lot of stuff, they don't clean often maybe they are quite old because they have a lot of old books and boxes. But what does the barometer tell us? Nothing, actually. The barometer is quite useless. It doesn't tell us anything about the people living here. And that's what Roland Barthes called l'effet de réel, the real effect. It's the useless things that make a story feels real. So yeah, this is something we kept in mind in Bury My Love. With you have a lot of tiny useless interaction, like here, her neural zipper is broken. We don't really care, it's not really important in the story, but it builds something. Also, well, this is storytelling 101, but yeah, give your characters flaws. Noor, for example, lies a lot, actually. She lies a lot, too much to the player, but you don't always know she's lying to you, obviously. She's quite proud, which can be a problem for her sometimes. Majd, on the other side, can be quite racist sometimes, toward Africans especially. He can be jealous too. So yeah, perfect characters don't make good, credible characters. You have to give them flaws, weaknesses. Okay, this is the big part. Yeah, this is a quote I really like. So pay attention to the insignificant. I will read it. It's a quote by Raymond Chandler. So, my theory was that the readers just thought they cared nothing about anything but the action. That really, although they didn't know it, they cared very little about the action. The things that they really cared about, and that I cared about, were the creation of emotion through dialogue and description. The thing they remembered that haunted them were not, for example, that a man got killed, but that, in the moment of death, he was trying to pick a paper clip up of the polished surface of a desk. And it kept slipping away from him, so that there was a look of strain on his face, and his mouth was half opened in a kind of tormented grin. And the last thing in the world he thought about was death. He didn't even hear death knock at the door. That damn paperclip kept slipping away from his finger, and he just wouldn't push it to the edge of the desk to catch it as it fell. And yeah, I totally agree with that, because that's what I feel myself as a reader. What's important is not the action. What's important is not what happens to the character. What's important are the fleeting thoughts that come across the character. What do they think at that moment? How their mind was at this moment? And yeah, that's something we try to keep in mind. There's something I read on the internet, story of a Syrian refugee reaching Vienna. And he said that when he reached Vienna, he remembered this song by Hasmahan, Merry Nights in Vienna. And while remembering this song, thinking about this song, he realized, yeah, maybe I can live here, maybe I can be happy here. And yeah, he only thought of that because of this song, because it's just, yeah, chain of thoughts. I don't know how to say it, but it's the little thoughts that made something moving and real. And yeah, I totally copied that. The exact same thing happens to Noor. One other thing, embrace the unlikely. This might sound weird, but if you want to have fiction sound likely, you have to embrace the unlikely. Because the world is full of real things, and how many times have you told your friend, oh, I have to tell you something, you'll never believe it. Because yeah, weird shit happens all the time, and you don't have to, when writing a story, you shouldn't be scared about weird shit. Tiny, weird shit. For example, Noor can meet Iraqi woman, an Iraqi refugee called Kelly. And Kelly isn't a common name for Iraqi women. It's pretty weird, and we don't really know why she's named Kelly. It doesn't make much sense. Maybe it has sense, but yeah, it's not her story, so we don't know. It's just a weird thing that happens along the way. Also, welcome accidents. Bury My Love, well, it might be specific for Bury My Love, but Bury My Love is based on text messages. In text messages, you often make mistakes. And when I was writing burying my love, typing it, I made some typos sometimes. For example, here I tried to draw a heart, and I put the 3 and the thing, and it looked a bit, and I thought, oh, it looks like a butt with something going into it. And I went, oh, that's something that Noor can think of, actually, so I will leave it. And we've got a little bit of funny dialogues here. Another thing, it works better in French, but at some point, Noor is in Turkey, and she is talking about stealing things, stealing truc in French. And instead, I wrote stealing Turk, which means Turkish people. And I was like, oh yeah, this is a perfect lapsus. She's actually in Turkey. This is funny. We can build something around that. And so I did. In English, it's stealing thongs instead of things. Not as good, but still working. And yeah, the last thing would be looking around you, because your life is relevant in order to build realistic story. There's a little story I like. My girlfriend, at some point, she had some troubles. I don't remember what. And I typed, I was talking to her on the phone, and I said, yeah, courage, which means be brave, be strong. But instead I wrote courge, which means pumpkin. And yeah, we laughed, and it was funny. It was a funny interaction, and it's something we kept. It became our little couple cute thing, you know. And every time, instead of saying courage, we say courge. And yeah, Noor and Majd, I gave this cute thing to them, and that's what makes them a cute couple too. So yeah, look around you. And yeah, okay, that's it. So thank you for listening, and courage to you for your future project. I don't know, maybe you have some question now.
Okay, guys, so if you have some question, just raise your hand.
Hi, the project looks very, very interesting.
Thanks.
It's really amazing how much you went into detail and thought about making it so realistic and make the characters feel like real humans. And what I see in a lot of games is they spend millions to make the game more immersive, but sometimes the characters really feel two-dimensional, and it takes you away from the immersion. And it looks like it's possible if you put some thought into it. Why do you think there is this so little thought put in most games in something that can actually be achieved cheaper than just the technology? Why do you think people don't invest more into making characters feel this real?
Well, we were hard to do it because that was the only thing we had. We haven't any graphics or stuff, so we had to have credible characters. For the video game industry in general, I don't know. I agree with you when you say that the characters are sometimes, often not very good. I guess it's not as visible. Great graphics. You can see at first sight that there are great graphics in this game, so you can sell it well. A game with good dialogues, it takes a few hours to realize a game has good dialogue. So maybe that's one of the reasons. Maybe that's why it's the last thing put in video games. But I'm not sure. I hope it will change, and big studio will contact me to write their dialogues and stuff.
Okay, any other question?
I have a question regarding some of the storytelling creative choices. Could you maybe reveal more about the thoughts behind making Majd the character through, you know, like that we follow, or that we, yeah.
I'm not the one who decided the story, so I was approached by Florent when he already had this idea he already had the idea of the characters and stuff. But one thing for sure is we follow in this story the Noor, and we wanted to do this because of the article I talked about earlier, which was the story of Dana, actually, the WhatsApp article. And we were in contact with Dana, and yeah, it was obvious the main character, the traveling character, would be a Syrian young woman. As for Majd, yeah, well, I guess came from that. We wanted a love story, so we had to have a husband in Syria, so that's why you play Majd. And maybe the second part of the question is, I don't know if what you were asking, why you play Majd instead of Noor? Because we wanted the player to feel powerless. Because in most video games, you give power to the player. Video games are power fantasy most of the time. You play some badass guy and who kill things, and yeah, we wanted the players to feel what it is to don't have the power and to only watch events unravel without having much power on it, and yeah, what it is to feel powerless, to worry about your family, your relatives, and stuff like that. So yeah, it was more interesting for us to have somebody watching the action than playing the action of fleeing Syria.
Next question. Somebody?
It's an easy question. What will be your next project?
Well, we are not working together on another project with Florent, which is okay. We're still friends, and we will still make things in the future. But there is not direct sequel of Bury My Love with the same team. So I don't know what Florent is working on the moment, and me, I'm mostly writing for different video games as a writer, so as a freelance writer. So one of the games I'm working on is a game with little witches in the woods doing tricks and stuff. So nothing about reality. But yeah, I hope I will get to work on some other subject like this, maybe.
It's a very perfectly conceived kind of concept and idea and game in a lot of ways. Like, it's very neat. It kind of has this very clever structure. But but if are there any things that you would, with hindsight, change about the way that you made the game or how it ended up, or are you just really happy the way that it was and there's nothing that you would have changed? Did it work out perfectly?
I'm quite happy with it, but yeah, narratively, there are, for example, I know there are two endings which come very often when players play. If we had more beta tests, maybe we could have seen that this ending was really the main way. And I'll try to find the slide. Yeah, it's far away. But you can take in the game two main paths. One is I'll get to there. Almost. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can take different paths, but there is a path I really like, which is the Italian path. You go through Italy and through France, and yeah, I know this. Players almost never see it because it's a really hard path to get to, but it's actually maybe a quarter of the game. And so yeah, if something were to change, I would change a bit how the endings goes and the thing goes, but that's it.
Hello. I don't know anything about games, or I just really love this. I think it's beautiful.
Thanks.
And I want to ask if you as a player, can you maybe selfishly act as a man and you want your woman to come back to your country? Is there a path to take?
Not to come back because it's like written that it's their plans at the beginning to have her flee Syria and him to join her. But you can act like a total asshole. And if you are not total asshole, but a bit of an asshole, and if you do, well, Noor will stop listening to you. She will stop talking to you. You will miss big chunks of story because she's only tell you a few things about her, and she might leave you for another man, but you don't even know it because she won't tell you, and you just know that she's with someone else, but you have no news, and yeah.
Because I'll be acting like an asshole, so she won't tell me things anymore.
Yeah, that's it. If you act, it's like in real life. If you act as an
it's a great job. Well done.
Okay, thanks.
So I've been playing the game several times, so I know it. I've never been in Italy. So it's I think Noor once died on the boat to Italy.
Okay, the boat to Italy?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I've got two questions. You said you're a journalist.
Yeah, I was.
So, or you was. Why did you choose to write video games and not, let's say, articles maybe, and so? And the second question is, maybe it's one question, what's the main difference if you're writing, for example, a book or article, and what's the difference when you write a game, if there are any?
Yeah, there are different, but to be honest, I think I always wanted to write, like it's always been my thing since I was a kid, and at some point I was like, okay, I will try to get paid for what I write, and there aren't many jobs, so I went into journalism. But yeah, now with the video games, I'm like, okay, this is actually what I wanted to do in the first place. I never wanted to be a journalist. I wanted to write stories since the beginning, so I'm back to that. And yeah, the difference is, for example, I know I love love stories, and you don't get to tell a lot of love stories as a journalist. You get to tell them as a writer. So yeah, that's why I prefer to be a writer now. I was writing in. I was a journalist in informatics mostly, computers and stuff. So yeah, no love story at all. It was terrible.
I want to ask about the feedback for this game, especially from people who have had similar experiences as the couple in the story. And then a second question, the smaller one, is that do you think the game like this has a chance in like current environment, especially in Europe, to change someone's opinion of immigrants?
Well, first, the feedback. We don't have that much feedbacks from refugees in Europe. We have some from Dana, from Dana's family, Dana's friends. It's good feedback. But yeah, we haven't much other feedback. And to answer your question, yes, it's super difficult. This is a paid game. So it's quite hard to reach an audience that isn't quite convinced of the fact that refugees are human beings. So yeah, this is, I don't know if the game is able to change things, but on the other hand, we had a French YouTuber, like the most famous French YouTuber, who played the game out of nowhere. We didn't contact him or anything, and his video was seen by 5 billions, billions, the smallest one of the two, people, and mostly kids and teenagers, which aren't public audience at all. And that's something that makes me think that maybe we achieved something, because yeah, 5 millions kids saw this story, even if they haven't played the game. So I think we contribute to something. We can do stuff alone, but if everybody does stuff, we make a better world. I don't know.
Okay, guys. So if it's okay, if it's not another question, so thank Pierre for a presentation.
Thank you.